Hello and welcome back to the Build Up. I'm Freddie Potter and today I'm sitting down with Simon Gurner, the owner of Sunrise Technologies in Basildon. Simon started his career at 16 walking into a Ford apprenticeship in Dagenham. 14 and a half years later, he walked out and started to manage an IT business that's now 23 years old, 15 people, and as of December 2024 has done its first acquisition. We're going to talk about that leap. We're going to talk about why most service businesses can't run without their founder and how his does. We're going to talk about JLR, supply chain risk, and why his clients still don't really understand what they're buying. How are you, Simon?
I'm fine, Freddie. How are you? Thanks for inviting
Good.
me along.
Yeah, no problem. Great to have you. So uh, we'll start when you were 16 years old. You walked into a Ford apprenticeship in Dagenham. Take me there. What did you think when you were going to do what you were going to do with your life at that point?
Well, it's funny because when I left school, I had no idea. And actually, the reason I got an apprenticeship was because my father actually worked at Ford Motor Company. In fact, he worked at the Ford tractor plant, which got me into Ford. My uncle worked at Ford. My granddad worked at Ford. And of course, that was just the natural progression was me to go in there. Um, I was lucky enough that I had decent grades. So I got a higher apprenticeship within Ford. But I really, honestly, at that time, I had no idea of what I wanted to do. So actually, I now look back and I'm thankful for what my parents did for me because that really set me up properly. An engineering degree under my belt later on, obviously, Ford take you through that whole process, which has been great, really, to give me a good basis for where I am today, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously a lot of people follow the whole family tradition, right? It's kind of like a monkey see,
Yeah.
monkey do type of situation. With that.
Exactly, and there I was having to travel to Dagenham every day, which wasn't the easiest of journeys. I think I remember I was on two trains and a bus to get to my apprenticeship, which obviously changed as I could drive, but we weren't on good money then. Obviously, we're an
Mm.
apprenticeship, but it changed as soon as I left because I went into the Research and Engineering Centre, which is based in Basildon, rather than actually being on the line or alongside doing repairs and stuff in those areas. So
Yeah,
that was a good position to get me into.
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you were there for 14 and a half years, that right? I know you said it came, and I remember we had a conversation. You said it kind of came down to kind of like corporate blue tape. You know, the choice between going into management or breaking out, like walk me through the actual moments. Like, was there a conversation, a day, a trigger that made you leave there after so long?
Yeah, it was it was definitely look, I really enjoyed Ford, I must say. I was in Ford, I was pushed across the supply base called Vistion. My speciality was dashboards and consoles.
Mm.
Uh, so I got to see the world. I got to see Japan, Brazil, um, obviously Europe, the States, and it was really good. But it got to that point where I don't know, there's something inside you when I could go to management and be almost the lowest point again, the kicking block between the higher management and the lower staff. And I just thought it just wasn't right for me. I just thought I can do more of this.
Mm.
And it was a strange decision because it is tough when you're on a good wage and to think, well, what am I really going to do? You know,
Yeah.
where's that stability there? But I was doing a bit of IT on the side for a few friends that had businesses. I was doing a bit of IT for a couple of companies that were supporting Ford. And one of them just gave me that opportunity and said basically it was going to cover half my wage. My wife was doing okay, and it was like, look, if I'm going to do it, now's got to be that time. And it it was tough, but I look back now and it was definitely the best decision ever.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember you saying something, and I kept thinking about it. I mean, the colleagues or you that you trained with at Dagenham are now like retiring, right? And then like,
Yeah.
has that leap looked obvious to them in hindsight, or has anyone actually asked you how you got out?
Well, so from them, it's interesting because their mindset is very different to mine. I'm really enjoying what I do, whereas I think they've just been ground down over the years, should I say?
Yeah.
And then looking forward to retiring. I just, you know, my mindset is very different. I'm busy. I enjoy what I'm doing, and because of that, I have no intention of retiring yet, even
Mm,
though I'm at their age. But
mm.
they're definitely looking at their numbers. That is key on their list, and it's strange because I couldn't even imagine it now. I just couldn't imagine it at the moment.
Yeah, no, I know. It's like you said though, you've obviously just you were at a point in your life where you always had that, I suppose, son on your shoulder, kind of like talking to you about like what you wanted to do. You obviously were starting to dip your feet into the entrepreneurship, I suppose, of that kind of world. And for anyone who's listening, who's wanting to start a business, that leap is quite daunting. But obviously,
Yeah,
once you do it, it's most. I mean, I haven't spoke to a founder who's not
regretted it.
regretted it, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it's just kind of believing in yourself, right? You know you've got the skills there, and you've got the drive, but it's just that little push sometimes someone needs, right?
Completely, completely. And it is a tough decision to make because everything you've worked for, you've got that comfort and everything behind you.
Mm,
But actually, like you say, I don't know of anyone who's started a business and regretted it. Even people that have gone through some real traumatic times in their business,
yeah.
they still look back and say it's the best thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It definitely makes you a stronger person. And, I remember someone saying like, these things like this like stress and the worry, it's kind of a privilege. And I was like,
It is, and in fact, I think that's what makes us stronger
yeah,
because
yeah,
you've actually gone through that. Not always hardship, but you've gone through that times, the troubles and building and the sleepless nights and everything. But actually, you get the satisfaction that it's something you've built, you've made. And
yeah.
my wife's going through it at the moment. She's in recruitment for some bigger law firms. Her contract came to the end of term. She really wants to do menopause consultancy in the workplace. There's a big gap for that. She's starting from scratch, and it's hard. But luckily, we're in a position where I can support her for it because ultimately that's her dream, and that's where her passion is, and that's what she needs to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic that she wants to take that leap as well. And I'm sure you can kind of help as well in that transition. You've been there
And I
and
think
done
that was
it.
one of my decisions as well because I, while I really enjoyed what I was doing at Ford, IT is a completely different direction,
Yeah.
and actually, it's what I really enjoyed more. So that leap of faith has got me to where what I actually enjoy doing.
Yeah, no, no, definitely, and obviously people think it's obviously you can reap the rewards. Obviously, it's high risk, high reward type of thing, and anything like this, right? And I think when I spoke to you last time, you were in Orlando, was it
Yes, yes, I was in
six in the
Orlando then.
6 in the morning? you know. And today you're in the office, and it's just one of those, isn't it? Like it kind of like never switches off. I think your body clock kind of gets you up, and you're willing to kind of like speak to people and all that type of stuff. So no, that's brilliant. And look, most service business founders I talk to are the business, right? And this is one thing that really stuck with me was, if they're not there, things break. Yours doesn't, right? Like, walk me through how Sunrise is structured, because most MSPs aren't built like yours.
No, and so I there are multiple peer groups out there, and I'd say if you've got a community there, that's going to help you in your business, whatever industry you're in. The community is always great because you've got so many people you can talk to. So I follow through the CASEA True Methods peer group methodology. Um, and what that allows us to do is understand how our business should really be set up. And so we don't work on just a support team. In fact, our support team is quite small
Mm,
because we have a lot of the background work that actually does for the true, what I consider true proactive work. Most MSPs say that they're doing proactive work, but actually, if you've got no one there actually doing that proactive work, how is that proactive when it
Yeah.
goes to a help desk? But they can support and take all that pressure off the help desk to make sure the help desk is there to answer the calls. What that does as well with the proactive services in the back, it reduces the noise of those tickets because you're actually capturing things. Being proactive means you are capturing things before they happen and dealing with them properly. And so for a size of us, normally 15 people company, you would see at least half, if not more of that being help desk. For us, we're 3.5 people because we've reduced the noise from our customers. And it's made a massive
That's it,
difference.
isn't it? Obviously, yeah, you're obviously providing that whole service, right? Like, and stopping the the complaints, etc. You've got the backbone and the base of the business, right?
Yeah. But then I think the hardest thing from that then for most business owners, and this is where it gets stuck, is that we're all started as technical people. Generally, we started as technical people. And so we always want to keep on dipping into that technical stuff because that's what we've loved. That's where we started. But you've got to start taking that step back. You know, we always talk about being in the business and on the business. But you've got to make an active movement to get yourself out of the business.
Yeah.
So for me, I have an operations manager that deals with now the day-to-day running, the help desk, the technical side and such. I still deal with sales and marketing and finance and such like, but that everyday stuff, I've had to step back. I've had to let some things drop off the table because otherwise customers would keep on calling me if I kept on answering them. Sounds harsh, but it's the only way you start to allow that movement of them to call the office to get the work done, which means that you start coming out and then you can concentrate on the business. And that, I think, has been the turning point for me. That's happened probably in the past year or two, more so, and allows me to step away, work on the business. But I'm now enjoying myself because, like you said, last time we spoke, I was in Orlando. I've been in Malta a couple of weeks ago for another conference. I've just come back from Prague from another conference. But all of that is about me building and talking to people and building the business now. So I'll come back with loads of ideas. In fact, the staff will hate it because I've got too many ideas in my head now.
Do you know, obviously being like such a, I suppose, a lean business, but a well-oiled machine, like what is it that, because I mean, there's a lot of like AI getting thrown about now or automation. Do you automate anything, that could like help founders, or what would you like to automate that you're not doing at this present moment that takes a lot of time?
If I step back from that a second first, Freddie, one thing that because we were talking about this just this week, the first thing I wanted to do was make sure that the foundations were right in the business. Because while AI can be a great tool to help for AI and automation, we need to understand the differences there as well.
Hand in hand, right? Yeah.
But if the structure isn't right below, you're almost just patching things and not seeing where the real improvements are because you don't understand that the business is right in the first place. So that was our first thing, to make sure that we've got the structure, the numbers, the KPIs and everything were right as we expect them to be. And now we're starting to look at making some improvements. But I think the thing with AI and where people I think get stuck is that they don't have the idea of what they want. It's just going to be, it's just AI. Let's use AI. But what are you going to use it for? Where are your challenges? What are you trying to solve? So if I look at one that I'm looking at the moment as an example, we've got our help desk level. Where can I see the improvements we can make in the help desk? Rather than AI trying to do it for me, I want to see where the improvements are so we can fix it. So we've now got a system where we're starting to analyze all the tickets, understand the language in the tickets, understand the time taken, understand common tickets that we're facing, both in a certain customer and across multiple customers, and see where we can make our improvements. Because from that, we'll then start to say, right, is this an automation that we can improve on? Or is this something we can do with AI? But I think it all starts with the ideas. And you've got to have the true idea of what you're trying to achieve, not just chuck it in and hope that something good comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have like all the recordings of like the help desk and how they got on and how they improved and the analytics side of that?
Yeah, so we've always built up from KPIs in the first place. That's something that the peer group has helped us to understand. What
Yeah,
numbers should we be looking at? What are good numbers? What are bad numbers? And we track them weekly. Definitely on the help desk, we track that weekly. Time taken for people, time on tickets, we'll pull out our bad tickets and just analyze them and understand what really went on.
mm,
From that data, we can now make that work for us and understand it better. And that's where AI is really going to come in for us because we can't analyze it as quick as a system can analyze it. But it's got to be
yeah,
good data that goes in the first place. And our help desk system helps us with that because the guys, part of our strong process, and processes are a big part of this as well, have to put in their time. Make sure they're putting in good notes because we never know who else could pick up that ticket. We have to have the mindset of if someone else came along, could they understand everything that's been done to take it on?
mm,
But that
yeah.
makes
No,
good information to go into the model to give us good information out.
yeah, definitely. I think you mentioned the peer group. I mean, most founders I speak to don't have one. What is it, and how did you find it, and what does it actually do for you?
So I came across the peer group. So back in 2020 during lockdown, I was at a juncture of am I going to make an acquisition? Or with one of my vendors, I was talking to them and said, well, we've got this peer group. It's out in the States. That's why I go to Orlando still 3 times a year. But it's specific for MSPs and it's a mentoring program to help you to understand your business.
Mm,
So I took that route. And the peer group has been great for me because there's a structure there of what a good MSP should look like. But in that, that's understanding your financials, how your operation should really run, how your people and your team are set up. How do we use marketing and sales better? All about the overall business process so that we can better understand our business and improve it. I know when I first started, and I've been in the program, 6.5 years now, the first thing I did was sort the team out and get the culture right in the team. Because I could see, I thought I had a good business in that first meeting. I remember coming away feeling like crap, basically. But you've got to action that. And that's
yeah,
where we set up what we have as our delivery areas to get the teams in the right place. As I described briefly before, there's a bit more to it, but that foundation has set us up properly, as I say, to reduce the noise. So now we're looking after customers better. We're managing them better. We're talking to them more often because we've got processes in place to talk to them. But the peer group not only is there structure there, there's also a whole community of people I can talk to. So I met a lot of the peer group people just in Prague just recently, just yesterday and the day before. And there's always questions that we've got. "Oh, what are you doing with that? What are you doing with this?" And I know I've got a number of people that I can just talk to and ask and get their ideas. Just and it really helps us.
yeah.
Really,
No,
really
no.
helps us.
I think it's great. It's good that you can kind of lean on businesses in the same industry and really like pick brains and everyone helping each other. I do think it's great. In regards to
Our
like,
industry is really strange for that because
yeah,
people think that we're all against each other, but actually, I know competitors that are 10 miles from me. And I openly talk to them. We openly talk about our pricing and what we're doing with our customers. And also, what's nice about that is when we do come across each other, we'll potentially use that to our advantage as well. But if they're not right for me, I'd prefer it to go to someone who I know is going to look after them properly.
yeah, that's great. I mean, and it'll swing in roundabouts, right? Business goes to you and business goes to them, and if they pass to you, you'd like to think it's gonna come back to you as well. And if you've got those relationships in that, and you've helped someone, I'm sure they'll try and help you in the future.
Yeah, yeah. It's a proper big community. That's what the peer group has brought together, a big community of people.
Fantastic. Let's talk about December, kind of 2024. 21 years of organic growth, and then you buy a business, IT positive. Like, what changed?
I think the peer group had got me to the right stage now. I now understood my business, I understood my numbers, I understood what is good for us. Really, for us, this acquisition just came as an opportunity. Wasn't
Mm,
really necessarily looking. I had feelers out, but I wasn't actively, pursuing it like an acquisition.
mm.
But this came out of the blue, and I was talking to the owner, and everything he told me is great plans. And then suddenly something changed in his business. And then it became a bit more of a, right, okay, let's have more of a serious chat. What was interesting for me, if I look back at the process, was it happened quite quickly. But what was nice for me, because of what I'd gone through the peer group, I understood and I could apply my knowledge and my financial understanding to their business from what I could see and see the potentials in the business.
Mm. That's fantastic. I mean, I remember you saying, I suppose it kind of you wasn't looking for it, and it kind of came to you, or So before you sign the deal, you're already thinking about. Are you already thinking about like the deal after this one? Like, what did you specifically want to learn from doing one before doing more?
Yeah, so I can't say I was specifically thinking about the next one, but for this one, it's I also knew because it was quite a small acquisition, so I could finance it myself. And it was almost a point to say, you know what, look, I can dip my toe in, see what happens, tread carefully. If I
Hmm.
lost the money, it wasn't so bad, but I could take that chance and understand it. And I
Yeah.
think there's been some really good things, there's been some bad things, but there's lots of things that I can learn from this first one. I I would definitely do it again, but I would
What
see some of the failings that I made that I
what surprised you in that deal that like you couldn't have known going in?
oh, actually, when you get in the depths of stuff, whilst you can look at numbers and you can speak to people and understand things, actually, the true horrors that were hidden behind the curtains, should I say? When you actually get into the business and say, "My God, okay, right, this is a bit of a mess." But I think that's something that had come out from the peer group as such. As I mentioned before, if I hadn't have gone down that route, I would have probably been the same sort of business
Mm,
where there was no structure. The reason that we came together is we were a bigger company in the first place.
yeah.
So there are certain services that they couldn't provide to their customers that we could. So that alignment actually helped in being able to improve. But yeah, just seeing almost as I was back in 2020 in this business, I could see the potentials of where we could go and what we could tidy up. But I think one thing that we all underestimate is the time it's going to take you.
Right. So if anyone's listening right now who's kind of going through that first acquisition, it's time and be prepared for what's behind the curtain.
Definitely. Yeah. 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 Take those rose tinted glasses off very quickly.
Yeah. I want to talk
And
about
I'd say the
JLR.
time was definitely a big.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
mean,
Go.
so yeah, I've got a friend who's, I mean, completely out of that. They're going through acquisition for their business right now, and they've got someone investing in their business, and they actually have, funnily enough, it's like a Web3 gaming betting platform,
Oh,
and completely off topic, but the investors were like, yeah, we want to invest in it. We want to start tomorrow. We wanted to start yesterday. And I saw him a couple of days ago, and he was like, "This is a month down the line now," and he's like, "They were meant to start like a month ago." But things just take time, right? I think when especially when lawyers and solicitors get involved, and then you start drawing back curtains for things like these, you start uncovering things. you get the overview, and then it's like an onion when you start peeling it
Yeah.
back, right?
I mean, one thing that I think was quite good, we pretty much agreed heads of terms between us in the first place, which
Yeah,
I think speeded up our process.
nice, okay.
We'd agreed how the payout was going to work, how we're going to measure it, how all those bits were going to work, and were just there in place. So when we
Mm,
came to solicitors, we weren't already arguing these points because we'd already,
mm,
and it was just about the detail. Right? Okay, have you done your due diligence? Have you gone through stuff? I
yeah,
I had a chance to look at it, and like I say, this was quite a small business, so
yeah,
there
yeah,
wasn't much to gauge on. It was more about, right, okay, what's the gut feeling? Do a few checks, of course, but there wasn't really any analysis because in our business, I think when you get to sort of £1 million plus, then you start to get to some multipliers and it grows from there. But anything below that, yeah, it's a bit of a finger in the air sort of pricing sort of idea.
yeah, definitely. Talk to me about JLR. I know we spoke about it, but obviously for the listeners who don't know that, you know, what happened? Set the scene on that one.
Yeah, so I got to remember back, it was last year when JLR were compromised. We just had a series of other compromises. Uh, we had the Marks and Spencer, which I think lots of people were very familiar with. We had Co-op. I think there was one of the big clothing brands as well.
Mm,
But we were starting to see this influx of compromises, but the bigger names that we knew, the high street names or such. And then, of course, JLR hit, and it was something I was aware of because of the fact of having the automotive history, but more so because it then started to affect some of my customers. Because one of our verticals we support is automotive and engineering in general. And of course, what was interesting about that, and I don't think we'll ever understand how it really happened. Um, we're not really so sure how it happened. We've been kept very quiet. But what we do know is that Jaguar Land Rover couldn't manufacture for 30 days. Their lines were shut for 30 days.
that's a lot
They
of
were
money.
making something like, I think in that period, I think it was about 1,000 cars a week, might have been 3,000 a month. But we worked out that the losses from sales alone that they'd hit were about 1.1 billion. So it's quite a sizable
You think?
loss. Yeah. And especially when you think that they then went to the government and said, well, it's the government's fault and the government should help to bail them out. So that really didn't work well with me. But I also understand because if JLR goes under, look at the whole knock-on effect of employment in the country. And yeah, I understand the connotations of it. But there
Yeah,
was another side that really came to this, which is how our customers then were hit. So one of the things we talk about in security is obviously the supply chain threat. Making sure that we're all protecting ourselves through the supply chain and keeping our data safe.
yeah,
What had happened in reverse here, though, because JLR couldn't produce cars, that meant that everyone down the chain couldn't produce parts to ship to JLR to make the cars. So now we've got customers who can't ship to JLR. Some of them, 60, 70, 80% of their business is Jaguar Land Rover and can't ship parts. So they can't sell parts. So they can't run a business. They've got no
yeah.
revenue coming in.
It's funny, isn't it? I
And
mean, they're obviously wanting the government to bail them out. I mean, it's just unbelievable, isn't it, for like a big business like that? The amount
yes,
of small businesses. Oh yeah, and we're not doing well this month. Can you bail us out?
yeah, no, no, no.
Unbelievable.
We're just chased for tax, and
Yeah,
people don't see that bad side, that unfortunate side of the small businesses that just collapse because of what's happened further on.
yeah. Yeah, it's so true, isn't
And
it? I
so,
think,
unfortunately, we did see one or two customers that went under because of it. So they've gone into administration. And that was a couple of customers we were dealing with. We are aware of other customers in that supply chain that have also gone under.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
I
such a
mean,
shame because these weren't small businesses. These are like 20, 25 million pound businesses that have gone under because of that cyber effect.
it's crazy, isn't it? Like if your whole business could be all in on something like that, and obviously if they fold, you kind of fold. It's obviously why it's so important to diversify your
Exactly.
kind of your portfolio in a sense. And I remember you saying like, people don't appreciate supply chain risk. Like, what does not appreciating it actually look like in practice? Like, what are they not doing?
They're not really. Supply chain is one part of the bigger picture. Customers really, or lots of businesses don't understand the risks that are really out there. And we're not just talking cyber because it's business risk in general. Unfortunately, cyber is just a technology part of that risk. Lots of people just think, oh, it's not going to happen to us. We're too small. Why would they touch us? And in fact, actually, those companies are the more vulnerable. They're the easier ones to compromise. You think about the money that these bigger companies have, they've got deep pockets that they're throwing at cyber or general IT protection and security.
Mm,
And yet they're still being compromised. The smaller companies, they don't even see it coming.
yeah.
And I think we find that companies just consider it an overhead. They consider it as like a line item next to the cleaner, as such, on the books. But in fact, if we take a good hard look at this, actually, without technology, nowadays we don't have a business, yet we won't invest in it. And it's a real conundrum for people to understand. And we find that the customers that really get it, that's, as we say, they get to sleep better at night because they know that it's dealt with. They can now run their business, and now we've got strategic roadmaps that we can work to. They
Mm,
understand that technology is going to run it, but let's harness that technology to help us to build it.
yeah.
Let's understand AI, as we talked about briefly, to really make our business work. But we're thinking about what it's doing. So if we bring in AI, how are we going to put the guardrails in to make sure that AI and that data is kept internally properly?
Mm,
And it's that mindset that you need to bring in because if we think before lockdown, everyone pretty much worked from an office. If
mm,
your office wasn't there, what are you going to do? And it's the same thing with IT. If your IT isn't there, what are you going to do? How are you
yeah.
going to transact?
Impossible.
And, something that I love to try with my customers is to say to them, right, okay, let's just turn everything off now. Just see how long you can sit there without it, because that would be the ultimate effect.
Yeah. It
And
literally is.
normally,
Yeah.
when we do it, after the first couple of minutes, people are twitching, and that's just after a few minutes.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's not nice to be on the wrong side of that situation.
Yeah. Is JLR a one-off, or is the next like 12 months going to bring some more of these kind of like for UK manufacturing?
I think takeaway manufacturing, I think the UK in general, we are probably the second most vulnerable country when it comes to cyber attacks.
Hmm.
The US being the first,
Yeah.
us being the second, and the reason for that is because our native language is English. And so it's easier to compromise or easier to attempt to compromise the native language compared to, let's say, a French language or Spanish language or such like. That's why we're so high up the chain and still such a small country.
Yeah.
But I think what we're seeing in the market in general is cyber compromises are becoming more and more prevalent. What we don't see is those smaller companies that go under because of it. We need to be thinking about that protection. And I think we are starting to see a bit of a change because we've got a lot more frameworks starting to come out. We've had Cyber Essentials. We're now going to see the Cyber Resilience Bill, I think, possibly, if not this year, then next year that'll start to go through. Whilst it's going to affect more of the bigger companies, what we're seeing is that there is a heavy supply chain influence on that. So if you are supporting one of those businesses in any shape or form, you'll need to be meeting those requirements as well, and so forth and so forth and so forth.
Yeah, it's quite scary, isn't it, the cyber thing? I mean, it could be a cyber attack on the whole world, and it could be a different pandemic that could be on
Yeah,
our hands.
yeah.
But yeah, it's quite a scary one, and like, I mean, obviously AI it's huge, isn't it? I mean, it's getting better and better. You know, even the Anthropic CEO, he's like, he doesn't want to bring out certain LLMs and certain levels of what Anthropic and Claude can do right now, because he's like, the world isn't ready for this right now, and it's like, it's obviously so clever, right? And it's just kind of like, is that gonna involve the kind of cyber attacks, because it's getting cleverer and people can kind of train them more, or how is it going to work? So yeah, it's I mean, the next 5 years is going to be really interesting, to see
So
what businesses are
we had an
doing.
interesting part of this conference, the CASAA conference. We had a guy called Jeff White from the BBC. Um, he's a correspondent who deals in cybercrime. And he gave us a really interesting talk on this. And it was around the Conti Group and how the Conti Group had broken up. But part of it was about AI and how the AI is being used. And the interesting side of it is that he'd contacted a number of hackers. Basically, you can do it through the dark web. And he'd literally asked them, are you using AI? And actually, they're not using it as much as we think we're using it. They're using it. They're using it as we
Mm,
are for maybe some internal stuff to make improvements there, but they don't rely on AI. So they were saying from this small group that were contacted, because they don't have control. So when they're doing the ransoms, you can't allow an AI model to control that ransom.
yeah,
That's a human interaction of that negotiation.
an emotional one.
Yeah. So they're not using AI as much as they say, as much as we think. But we do know from the other side that AI is picking up a lot of compromises and threats. Anthropic have a model that they run specifically. It's out to certain people, obviously certain high level companies, to help on detecting threats. So much so that the US government, I think last week, shut down or told Anthropic to shut down the models to anyone outside of the US because they saw a potential threat in it. That's how serious it's become.
Yeah, yeah, it's
So there was lots of people that suddenly couldn't connect to Anthropic, Claude, certain areas of it because of what the government had forced Anthropic to do.
yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because
That's
like,
a little
even
bit too Terminator for me.
it is, and I remember at that time, I think Anthropic was down, and I think at that time ChatGPT brought out like their image, their new kind of. It was literally the same day. I remember it, and it was like as
Yeah,
soon as that was down, ChatGPT brought out this better version. So obviously everyone was like, that was the perfect moment to go, oh, Claude's down, I'm going to go use ChatGPT. ChatGPT's got a new version. Oh, we'll start using this now. It was like it was inside the trading going on there
yeah,
somewhere. Unbelievable. Um,
yeah. It's interesting how AI is being used in that.
Yeah, do you use it like obviously you get clients on now, and like, do you have like you must get like a lot of leads kind of come through. Do you use that for like automation? I know we talked about onboarding and automation. Do you use that for your process, or is it all quite manual at the moment?
Yeah, we've started to touch on it now. As I say, we wanted to get our numbers straight, and now we're starting to build a few simple things for ourselves to
Yeah,
help. And it's more administrative side of
yeah,
things.
yeah.
We've built some tools that we can chuck our numbers into that will bring our numbers out and sort it out for us straight away. We're doing the help desk stuff. We're looking at how we can better process policies and get the signatures on policies. But
That's
what we're
it.
finding when we're dealing with our customers, it's about a conversation about, well, what do you really want to achieve? And they're like, oh, I'm not really sure. Okay, well, look, go away and think about what you're trying to do, because then we'll look at how we can deal with it with AI and or automation. And what we've
Mm,
actually found is a lot of the requests that have come out have actually been about automation, not necessarily about AI.
yeah, yeah. It's so true. I mean, yeah, I'm definitely in the mix of all that, and automation is kind of like a thing that's just taking away them day to day kind of manual tasks is possible.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's just knowing how to add it into the business, right?
And it's simple starts, just simple things.
Yeah,
Let's
literally.
not try and think too far ahead of ourselves. Let's just get a few of the little simple things started so we get a feel for what we can do and where we.
Absolutely. Um, just one question on the charity side. I know you co-founded Every Child Online in 2020. Plenty of business owners just do charity work. Why that one and not something else?
So this came out of, I was just watching the BBC, and it was the morning program, like the early morning news, and they had an article where they were talking about a family that was in South London, had 4 or 5 kids in the family, all trying to use their dad's phone during homework to do homework. And of course, dad's still got to go to work, so he's still got to use his phone for that. And that sort of just rung home for me. I didn't really appreciate that that was really going on. And from there, I thought, well, let's just see what we can do downstairs. And I found just in our storeroom the equivalent of 20 PC kits that I just built up that we had lying around. You know, you've got families that don't have
Yeah,
anything. I've got just
yeah.
20 bits of kit just lying around. Um, so we contacted our local school. First one turned us down. Uh, the second one, which was my school, my old school, ripped our arm off. And it really started from there. And we got involved with the Rotary Club. And they're really helpful in helping us to make collections. We started to put some articles and try and get some promotion for it. It started off with a lot of personal people, consumers as such, and some businesses. Obviously, talking to my clients, the kit they had lying around, that we could then wipe it correctly, because that's usually the problem in businesses. The data that's on there. How do I
Mm,
actually erase that data so it's useful for someone else? Provide that service within the charity to make sure that's erased, certificated, so they know that it's done. And then obviously there's that charitable instinct from it, that now that kit can be used rather than trying to get money back from it. We all want to do the social responsibility.
mm.
Businesses are big on social responsibility now, and this is that social responsibility that you can do. But just to go back to that, we started off with that first school. We then talked to other schools and charities. By the end of that first year, when the children from Woodland School in Basildon, which is the one that I used to go to, is considered a slightly underprivileged school, every student had a device that they were able to do homework on, whether they had one themselves or they loaned one from the school, and it actually improved their grades, and that was real good satisfaction. From there, it's just progressed on. We've expanded, and we do more business to business. We've got some good big companies that are supporting us.
Mm.
We get those donations, we wipe it, we move it on. No, it's not just about that we're providing or reducing that digital gap, as we say, reducing the digital divide, but also all that kit isn't now going into landfill. It's being reused where it can be reused.
That's fantastic. Yeah,
So
no,
yeah,
it
there's a
really
good
is.
side to that as well. And
Yeah, no,
it's amazing. I think since then we've done the last numbers are about, I think it was we've done about £4 million worth of kit that has been redirected to schools, colleges, charities, and reused.
it's brilliant.
And that's a phenomenal amount of money.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to get hold. It's obviously cost of living and all everything seems to be going up, and especially like schools and charities like that. They love these types of things and unnecessary
Exactly.
costs, right? And it's yeah, no, it's fantastic. That's brilliant.
And one of the other problems with that is that you've got a lot of these people that are maybe underprivileged that haven't had access to technology, but the whole world is running on technology. So they then fall further behind.
Yeah, exactly. And it's constantly evolving every single
Yeah.
day. Simon, where should people find you then at Sunrise? If they want to follow you, what are you doing?
So you can find me on LinkedIn. We're under Sunrise Technologies Limited. A website, if you want to get to us on our website, it's sunrise-it.co.uk. Obviously, you can find me on LinkedIn as well, Simon Gurner. There aren't many Gurners out there, so it's quite an easy one to find. We don't want us to get started on that name anyway.
No, brilliant. Oh, look, I've really enjoyed this. It's been great, and everyone listening, if anything's resonated about Simon's story and how he started, and just having that little person on your shoulder, wanting to to kind of make that jump. I'm sure, hopefully, he's inspired someone, and you've took something from it.
And I love, as I say, the charity. Sorry, not the charity. The peer group side has really opened my eyes to sharing. At the end of the day, we're all here together. We're all trying to work to an end game. We don't need to be fighting against each other.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We all want to win.
If anyone wants to ask me questions around it or what we do, then yeah, reach out. You'll be able to find me.
Brilliant. Well, appreciate your time, Simon. It's been great, and I hope everyone's enjoyed this episode and got a lot from it. So that's us from Build Up. I'm Freddie Potter.
Thanks for the chat, Freddie.